So, you want to know about Malaysia? Well, what better place to learn about Malaysia than right here, Melaka? A place drenched in history. And with a bit of imagination, history is a lot like a love story. There's the founding, the golden age, and for some of us that are not as lucky, the fall. We can also learn a lot about our culture and how it was shaped by our past rulers, like the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the English. And how places like St. Paul's Church, Porta de Santiago or A Famosa, and Jonker Street were formed. Let us go, shall we?
Dutch Square is surrounded by red painted buildings. It reflects the history of Melaka, the Dutch administration, the British colonization, and the Chinese settlers. The Portuguese trace remain at El Famosa, but you can see some ruins of Portuguese fortress on the bank of River Melaka across the square. What you will like about Red Square, it is the atmosphere like a carnival square where you find many tourists and locals like those from other states of Malaysia, overseas tourists other than Singapore like China, Taiwan, even Indonesia, European and American tourists. The hustle and booster of the tourists posing and snapping photos. Those souvenir shops crowded with souvenir hunters so overwhelming. Not forgetting the vibrant, colorful treasure, enticing tourists with blaring hit songs. This area is extremely photogenic, so make sure your camera battery is fully charged.
This historical edifice dominates Malacca's renowned Dutch Square, or also known as the Red Square. Why? It is because of the crimson-colored old buildings there. Also located at the square is Christ Church, the former Dutch Reformed Church of Malacca, where the pious Dutch people of the town had long before often congregated. It is said that the Studies is probably the oldest remaining Dutch colonial building left in Southeast Asia. However, the history of the Studies remains somewhat of a mystery. Records of its construction have now either been lost in time or perhaps still buried in some forgotten archive yet to be discovered. All that is known about the age of the building is that it was built shortly after Malacca was captured by the Dutch in 1641.
So, now we arrive in the Jungle Street. Jungle Street, or Jungle Walk, is the center street of Chinatown that was once renowned for its antique shops. However, over the years, it has turned to clothing and crafts outlets, as well as restaurants. The best part of Jungle Street here is the night market that is held on every Fridays and Saturdays, which sells everything from tasty treats to cheap keepsakes. The story of Jungle Walk goes back to the Dutch period of Malacca, where the servants and subordinates of Dutch masters used to live at nearby Heron Street. However, as soon as Dutch left, it became Nobleman Street. Rich babas and bibiks started to live and trade here, giving the street a deep-rooted ethnic and cultural flavor. Now, the street is officially named as Jalan Hang Jebat, and it is popularly known as Jungle Walk. Jungle Street also has many names besides the aforementioned. Due to availability of collectible items dating back to medieval times at many shops, it is also referred as the Antique Street. Due to Chinese influences, it is also referred as the Chinatown of Malacca. During Dutch period, it was known as Rich Man Street, as rich Baba Nyonya had by that time established their business here.
St. Paul Church is a historic building in Malacca that originally built in 1521 and make it become the oldest church building in Malaysia. It is located at the summit of St. Paul Hill, and for this day, it is a part of Malacca Museum Complex with Air Formosa, the stadiums, and other historic buildings. It was constructed by a Portuguese nobleman, Captain Eduardo Cohorn. It is graduate to the Virgin Mary for saving his life during a storm of sea. St. Paul Church was enlarged to 2 stories in 1556. Between 1567 and 96, the Portuguese added gun turret to the chapel and became a fortress.
Porta de Santiago, also known as F. Famosa, is one of the few oldest surviving European architecture in the womb of Asia. It was built in 1511 under the command of Alfonso. The fortress was built to consolidate their gains in Malacca after they defeated the armies of the Malacca Sultanate. At that time, the Portuguese believed that Malacca will someday become a vital port which linked Portugal to the spice trade from China. Even today, if you look at the Porta de Santiago, you can still see the VOC coat of arms on the seal carried by the soldier on the right side of the logo. The Dutch then handed the fort over to the British in the early 19th century. The English, being wary of maintaining the fort, gave orders to the British government of Pahang to demolish it. The fort was saved by the Sir Stamford Raffles in 1810 as he stopped the demolishing and saved what we see today.
And this is a replica of the Flor de la Mar. It was the ship that conquered Malacca under Alfonso de Albuquerque's order. The replica is one of the main attractions in the Maritime Museum in Malacca. The museum was opened back in 1994 by our Prime Minister, then and now, Mahathir Mohamad. Inside are exhibits, artifacts, and documents from the golden age of Malacca, and how it shows the political control of Malacca was essential to the establishment of maritime dominance in the region. Some exhibits document our interactions with our past rulers, the Portuguese, Dutch, and the English, but it was mainly about trading and the numerous battles over dominance of the region. And that's all I got on the Maritime Museum.